Hello! Today World Sociological Society interviews Laura. How are you today, Laura?
I'm fine, thank you.
Excellent. Would you like to begin with the questions?
Sure.
Excellent. Question 1. How did you get into typology?
Well, I first got introduced into it in my high school psychology class. We took a personality inventory, and I just found it fascinating the differences between people.
hmm And what interested you in psychology in general?
What interests me in psychology in general,
Yes.
I think just knowing how people's minds work and what makes them tick,
hmm
and just um, how people are different from each other.
hmm Okay. Do you work? Go to college?
I'm working right now as a librarian.
hmm And how would you say that you act or behave around work, college, or especially in the library? Um, what does your job require you to do, and how do you act in that job? Do you have like a personal spin in that job? Do you have a different way of acting compared to other librarians?
Um, how do I act on the job?
Yes.
Well, I guess um, it's kind of hard because I think sometimes my job expects me to act in a different way than what my preferences are.
hmm
And like like in my job, um, I'm always having to work with the public and work with people, and normally I'm pretty quiet, and there's this expectation at work that that the customer is always right, and you always have to put on this happy face for the customers, and sometimes I don't always agree with that.
So does that make your librarian job sound like it's atypical for what one would stereotypically think of as being a librarian job?
um, well, in some ways, I mean, I like what I do. I like finding information for people, and I kind of like that aspect of it. And but sometimes it's like serving the public all day, and then you deal with the rude and the cranky people, and sometimes it just gets kind of exhausting at the end of the day. But on the other hand, I do like knowing that I'm helping other people, and um, helping them find stuff, and I'm always learning new things, and I like the variety.
Hmm. Okay. So you say that you enjoy what you're doing, but you said that it's not quite fitting your natural preferences.
Well,
So
in,
yeah.
in some in some ways, I think it's very fitting, but in other ways it's not so fitting.
And would you say that specifically where it's not quite fitting is in requiring to be a bit more people oriented, a bit more customer is always right?
Yeah, I suppose you could say that.
Is there anything that you like to do instead?
I, well, um, sometimes I wish I didn't have to work at all, but then I'd feel kind of guilty if I did that, because then I'd feel kind of useless to society. And
I see. So,
actually, I kind of like. I think I kind of like the same line. I think I would kind of like the same line of work, like something similar, something um, where I get to apply my intellectual skills, and I get to learn things, but maybe a little bit less with the public, maybe a little less customer service oriented, where I could I could kind of control the people that I work with, because it's like, you never know what kinds of what's going to be thrown at you, and you got um, all these difficult people that demand this and this out of you, and
hmm,
um, sometimes I wish I could just, I don't know, maybe work more independently, I guess.
hmm,
Um, I don't know. I've kind of thought about going into I kind of thought about going into computer science, but then that would mean getting a whole different degree, because that's totally different than what I'm doing now, and
hmm. But it's interesting about you.
I don't
Okay,
know if I want to bother with that.
so it's interesting about you. Also, almost your wish would be to go towards something more information, more code based, more structural and logical, and something that withdraws from the interpersonal aspects of the job.
Um, yeah, I think so.
Okay. How do you behave at home or when you're on your own?
Um, well, I guess I like being on my own. I'm really independent, and I don't know. I don't know if I really keep track of how I behave. I guess when I'm at home, I can truly be myself, and I don't have to answer to anybody. um,
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time. I spend most of my time, it seems like on the internet. I just like surfing the internet. I hang out on Personality Cafe, because I'm really interested
Mm.
in personality psychology. I, I'm an avid reader. Um, Play video games. Keep to myself mostly.
That's it. So, do you have any other hobbies and interests we don't necessarily do at home, but you're just interested in?
Um, well, I do like games, like various kinds of board games and card games, and I do belong to a gaming group that meets a couple times a month, and that's a lot of fun, and that's kind of right now that's kind of the main source of my social life.
Hmm. Okay. So, in other words, you seem to seem to enjoy socializing. When you do socialize in an area where it's like fun, where it's game oriented, where it's more playful, nothing too serious.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, I don't think I like a gaming group where people just got too serious about it. Like, when we play, it's not about who wins or who loses. It's just about having fun and laughing and just making jokes, and
Hmm.
yeah.
Okay. Um, how are you with family?
Good question. I'm pretty close to my family. I love my family very much. They're not perfect, but I still love them. I guess my mom, she's the one I'm the closest to. And I know that she's very warm, and she's very caring, and she's helped me out a lot in times of trouble, and when I really have a problem with something, I know that she's going to be there for me. She's like a shoulder to cry on.
Mhm.
But sometimes she's kind of overprotective. She's overbearing. I'm I'm a grown adult now. um, and and sometimes I feel like she still thinks I'm a kid, and sometimes I just wish she'd back off a little more, and sometimes she'll just get crabby or angry, and for me it seems like it's coming out of nowhere, and and I don't always know how to deal with that. That makes it kind of hard.
Mhm.
So that's my mom. My dad, I don't feel as emotionally close to him.
Mhm.
Um, he's someone that I can, enjoy playing cards with or watching TV with, but he feels more distant, I guess, and it's really I don't feel comfortable having like a deep conversation with him
Mhm.
because he just seems a little more passive, a little more distant, but on the other hand, he's not as overprotective as my mom is. He gives me more freedom, more leeway, and I feel like I'm treated more like an adult with
Mhm.
him. I have a sister, and um, we're pretty close. I think we could be closer because she only lives 10 minutes away from me.
Mhm.
Um, and I mean, she's kind of in between my mom and my dad. She's not overprotective, and but now that I think of it, it's like, well, a lot of people think their parents are overprotective, because they're a parent. You know what I mean?
That's true.
My sister is. I mean, she's just, she's funny. She's got a great sense of humor. She's really caring about people. Um, we share a lot of the same interests. So sometimes I wonder, why am I not spending more time with her? Of course, now she's pretty busy. She's married. She's got a son now that just turned 6 months, and I think that's pretty exciting because I will probably never marry or have kids. I don't like
Mhm.
want to be tied down to that. So I
Mhm.
feel like my nephew is the closest thing that I'll ever have to having a kid.
Mhm. Have you had romantic relationships?
Oh gosh,
Don't have to answer the question.
not very good. Um, it's been a long time, since I've even dated anybody, and it just doesn't seem to be the priority in life as it is for most people. Um, I don't even really think about it that
Mhm.
much. I mean, I suppose it would be nice if it happened. I guess in the past relationships I was in, I don't know, I always felt kind of anxious and insecure. Does this person really love me for who I am? Uh, um, and then also, I don't know, I felt kind of tied down, like I didn't really feel free, like I could totally be myself, because I had to commit to this other person. I always had to compromise, and I don't know. I mean, I just like being independent and kind of doing my own thing.
Mhm. Okay. How are you with friends?
Um, I think I'm a good friend. I think I'm there for people in times of trouble. It's just that I don't really have a lot of friends. I mean, like I said, like the gaming group is kind of the source of my social life, and talking with people on um, Personality Cafe and other forums like that. I know some people. It's like they have lifelong friends with people. It's like they're friends with somebody since kindergarten, and I don't have anybody like that in my life. I don't really have, close friends. I have a lot of people I consider acquaintances, but I
Mm.
don't know. I don't really have any deep friendships. I mean, I suppose I'd be a good friend. I mean, I would be there for them. I listen to their problems.
Mm. Okay. So, in other words, in terms of your approach to friendships, it's more to do with the groups you involved yourself in, like with this gaming group, like with Personality Cafe, rather than actually striking out individual one-on-one relationships, one-on-one
Yeah,
friendships.
I think so, but I don't know. I kind of sometimes I would kind of like more individual one-on-one relationships.
Mm.
It's just that I'm so insecure about it. You know, I don't initiate. I'm afraid of rejection for one thing.
Mm.
Sometimes I'm insecure. Like if they really got to know me, they'd scrutinize me, and there'd be conflict, and I don't know.
Mm.
But the thing is, um, I don't really think about it a whole lot, and it's probably not the priority like it is for some other people. Some people, they just seem to need their friends,
Mm.
and I kind of just like to come and go as I please.
I see. So it's more. I mean, you like friendships, but for you, you're also more independent. You also have yeah, it's not all about the friendship. It's not all about the relationship. There are other things that are more important to you.
Yeah.
Mm, I see. And also, as it's an area which you have more difficulty in than the area when you have more, it's put more importance in. It's that it doesn't necessarily take priority.
Can you say that again, please?
And as it's also an area which you have less confidence in than the area which you find more important, you don't necessarily put at your top priority.
Yeah, I suppose.
Okay. So what are you good at in life?
Um, I'm really good at math and science.
Hmm.
I'm good at like working with like logical systems. I'm I think I'm really introspective, and I got a really good sense of myself. Like I know what I want and don't want out of life, and um, like what's easy for me, what's hard for me. Um, I guess I'm good at. Somebody said I have a knack for like learning languages and things like that. I think just like learning like systems and stuff. Like online there's this theory of multiple intelligences. Like people are good at different kinds of intelligences, and logic and mathematical was on the top, and then like intrapersonal, like understanding yourself, that's on the top, and linguistic was pretty high too. um, I guess I'm good at mostly academic nerdy type stuff. um,
Hmm.
as far as other things I'm good at, I guess it's more in terms of personality traits, I guess. um, I think I'm able to see things from a lot of different angles, a lot of different perspectives. You know, I got a great intellectual curiosity. I love learning new things. Um, I'm very honest and reliable. Um, you know, People often tell me I'm nice, although I don't always like that. And not that I don't care about being nice, because I do, but just because it seems so generic. It's well, anybody can be nice. How does that make you special?
Hmm. Yes.
But I think I'm very, kind and considerate of other people. Treat people the way they want to be treated. I have a very strong sense of fairness, very fair. Yeah,
Hmm. So fairness, being just, being yes, I see.
yeah.
Okay. Um, and before you said that, you found that things are more important necessarily than the socializing, than the seeing people. What would you say is the most important thing for you?
What is the most important?
Yes.
You mean like in my life? What's the most
Yeah.
important?
Hmm.
Oh, well, um, I I want to live. I guess I want to live a meaningful life.
Hmm.
Um, I want to make a positive impact on society. I guess one of my fears in life is that what if I don't amount to anything? What if I just fade into oblivion when I die?
Hmm.
So
Posterity.
yeah, yeah. And I think just being true to myself and um, doing the things that I love to do, that I'm interested in.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Excellent. What are you bad at in life?
Lots of things. um, I'm bad at returning my library books on time. um,
Wonderful.
well, no, no, no. Seriously, I tend to check out more materials from the library than I can realistically read in 3 weeks of time. So then I rack up the overdue fines, but I always pay them off, because I'm a good person like that.
Yeah.
Um, on a more serious note, I'm bad at sports. I've dabbled in several. I just never got to the level of success that I wanted to get at.
Mhm.
I'm really bad at like dancing, and I can't juggle to save my life.
Mhm. Yes.
Like I can't even juggle two balls. So how is it that some of these people juggle three, four, or five balls? I won't understand.
I'm pretty bad.
Um, I'm really bad at drawing realistically.
Mhm.
Art class frustrated me a great deal because I'd have this picture in my mind. This is how I want it to look, and it wouldn't look remotely like that. So I just tear up the paper in disgust.
It's like so
Um,
it's like you have the idea, but you have difficulty transforming that into the physical reality.
well, I never really thought about it in that sense, but I suppose, yeah.
Okay.
Um, well, I I feel like I'm hypersensitive, and I think that's like before I made this video, I had a hard time deciding, am I more a logical type or more an ethical type, because I'm so hypersensitive, like to the emotions and stuff. Like if somebody is mad or angry at me, I just can't deal with it. You know, I have to have harmony in my relations with others, and I, excuse me,
That's
I
okay.
worry a great deal about what other people think of me, and I'm always like afraid that they're gonna scrutinize. So I hold a lot of myself back because I'm afraid of that. And um, some people say I'm not very confident, and I don't entirely agree. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think sometimes I come across that way because, well, for one thing, we can't know many things for certain in life,
Hmm.
and I can interpret something in like so many different ways that I'm not sure, because well, yeah, it could be this way, it could be that way. So they see me as kind of, not very confident, or not very decisive, but I just think that they don't understand the complexity of something,
Yes.
because they want a definitive yes, no, black and white answer, and I can't always give that to them.
Often, often the logical explanation is one that's more complicated than a simple one or two. It may be a series of one or twos in different contexts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. What brings admiration and criticism from others?
um, well, I think as far as admiration goes, I think most people think I'm really smart, and I'm really intelligent, and I'm you know quick to learn things, quick to grasp things. Um, I don't know. They admire. I think they admire my hard work and dedication, especially if it's something that I care about, and it's really important to me. They admire my. I suppose they admire my sense of integrity. I guess my honesty, and um, my I don't know, my insight. And then what was the other part?
And what do people criticize about you?
Oh, what people criticize. Um, I think sometimes I'm in my own head a lot, and so I'm not always maybe paying enough attention to what's right in front of me. I've been because I remember one time at work, some young child was left by himself, and he was too young to be left by himself, but I didn't see it because I was, off in la la land thinking about something else. Um, so I guess that's one example. Um, Occasionally people think I'm not, you know, confident enough, as I said before, or um, uh, criticism. Well, I think sometimes I try to be beyond criticism if I can.
Yes.
It's not always possible, but I
That's
think
yes.
sometimes, one time I got criticized because the person didn't think I took criticism very well, and I don't, I don't take unsolicited criticism, like if it just comes out of
Mm.
nowhere.
It's like
But
if no one
I
asks
ask
for it, then
somebody,
yeah.
how can I improve on this? Then I'm very open to it.
That makes sense. So
Maybe that I'm a little too, I don't know, maybe that I'm a little too aloof and distant sometimes. I don't know.
okay. So what do you admire and criticize in others?
What do I admire in others?
Yes, and criticize.
Oh, well, I think I admire um, people's intellect. I admire people that that can get things done. I admire people that um, are very creative, and um, not afraid to be different, and not afraid to be themselves. I admire people that don't care what other people think. um, I what do I criticize in other people? I criticize. Sometimes I criticize like their lack of foresight on things. Like they don't see the consequences. Like somebody says, "Oh, I'm going to get so drunk and wasted tonight," and they don't think that they're going to do something stupid later, or they're going to get have a major hangover the following morning. And it's like, why don't people think about that?
Yes.
I criticize people that are really rude, inconsiderate, people that are really bossy and demanding, people that are really closed-minded and intolerant, and people that are got no vision. They're just blindly following bureaucracy.
I see. So, in other words, also very appreciative of open-mindedness, being open to new, different contexts and ways of seeing things, and also you don't seem to like things that are more pushy, more controlling, more bossy.
No.
Any power structures in general you want to avoid.
Yeah, I kind of prefer everybody's on an equal level.
That makes sense. Okay. Describe your ideal place, setting, or world. Describe its atmosphere and surroundings, its inhabitants, conversations, and philosophy.
Well, it'd be a utopia. I think the ideal world would be where everybody gets along with everybody. There isn't war. There isn't all these social classes. Everybody is like on an economic level, everybody's more or less equal. People's needs are provided for. People don't have to worry about having enough to eat. Everybody has shelter. People are free to think for themselves. There's no dictatorships, unlike some places in the world. I think I missed part of that question.
Oh, that's fine. This is also just the general philosophy of this world.
Okay.
Yes.
The general philosophy of the world?
Yes, of this ideal world.
Well, the general philosophy would be, people self-fulfillment, and people accept others for what they are, and people enjoy life, and people
Okay.
strive to better themselves.
Okay. Now, describe a bad place or situation where you feel hopeless, inferior, and insecure. What would be causing these insecurities?
Well, right now I'm job searching, and I think right now I'm looking to stay in the same line of work. But right now I'm a part-time employee. I kind of work on an on-call basis, about 25 hours a week, and I would like to be able to work full-time. I would like to have some more challenges and growth in my job, and I'm applying for all these jobs, and I feel like it's just rejection after rejection. And in the organization where I'm working at now, there's some full-time positions with benefits, and I've been in this organization now for close to 8 years, but I'm just a part-time on-call employee, and and they don't even give me an interview. And it makes me very upset because there's other people that have the same kind of position I do. They've worked for a shorter time than I have, and they're getting interviews. And in
I
some
see.
cases, they're getting job offers. And I think it's very discouraging. I feel like I'm not being told the real reason why
Mm,
I'm not getting that. So I think the whole job search process makes me insecure. Um, you know, having to deal with rejection after rejection. I don't handle rejection well in the first place, but I feel like I cannot just not search for a job.
mm,
Um, and I think this whole idea of that we have to compete for something as mundane as a job, just to meet our basic needs. I wish it didn't have to be that way. Some people don't do well on job interviews, and the job interviews I don't think select necessarily the best people. They just look at who can promote themselves the best, or who happens to look the best in that half-hour period of time. I mean, and it's like you have to have a proven track record. So if you don't have a lot of experience doing things, it's hard to get ahead. They don't seem to look at potential or enthusiasm for the job, or it's just
mm.
it seems kind of messed up to me.
Okay.
And I don't know, it just feels really really unfair that other people are getting the opportunity and I'm not getting it, and I'm trying just as hard as they are. So
Mm.
end of rant.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Okay. Describe a good time where you really enjoyed yourself. What caused you to have such a great time?
Um. Well, I can spend like just hours at a time in front of the computer, like on Personality Cafe or some other forum, and I'm just um, because it gives me, it's just so interesting, and it gives me stuff to think about, and I get to meet people that are like myself, that share a similar interest, because sometimes in real life, there aren't as many people like that. Um, Another time is, well, I mentioned about the games group. Um, that's like a social outlet for me, and again, we all share the same interest, and we're just we're just having a good time, and I feel like in that group everybody's accepted for who they are, and some of the people are a little bit eccentric, but it's totally okay to be eccentric, and we kind of all have like an odd sense of humor, and
Mm,
and um, sometimes when I'm playing video games, like I can just sit for like 5-6 hours straight and just play a game. I'm really into the Legend of Zelda series, and I
mm,
like it because there's a lot of puzzle solving in the game, and there's a lot of exploration. It's like, oh, I wonder what's behind this door. So then I
mm.
get motivated to get this item so that I can, get past that, and you get to you're always acquiring new items and leveling up, and there's interesting characters. You walk around the village and you talk to them, and
Yeah.
yeah, so it's addicting. And once I start, I have a really hard time just putting it down and stopping.
Same. Very much the same. Okay. Last question. What do you feel about the world we live in? What are your opinions, affirmations, and criticisms of the present day and the people in it?
Okay, well, um, I think the world could be a lot better, a lot better place than it is now.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, I think we're making progress. I don't think we're making progress enough. Now, obviously, the life expectancy has greatly increased, so that's a good sign. But I still think there's a lot of problems in the world. There's a lot of, like all these social classes and economic inequality. Like there's people that, they're working hard, but they can't really make ends meet. They have to worry about getting enough food or getting medical care, and then you have these professional athletes that are making multi-millions, and they have more money than they'll ever need in their whole life. And to just kind of, I'm not saying that it should be totally equal, because I think people that do work harder, I guess, or work more difficult jobs should make a little more, but everybody's basic needs should be accounted for, and people shouldn't have to starve just because they don't have enough money. Racism is still a problem. I mean, I think that I live in the United States, and I think they made progress towards it. Racial minorities are more and more successful in life than they once were, but I think we still have a long ways to go. Intolerance, I think, is a problem. Like, a lot of people are still homophobic and stuff. They don't think gay people should have equal rights. They don't think she should be married, and I just want to see more tolerance. There's a lot of religious intolerance in the world. I mean, like in some countries, if you question the religious beliefs of that country, you risk getting your head chopped off. And I mean, I'm glad that I live in a society that isn't quite oppressive like that. There's wars, and there's dictatorships like in North Korea, and so yeah.
Okay. So those are all the questions.
Okay.
Now, we have one viewer, but if anyone does want to hear my analysis, wants to form their own analysis, then they may turn off the video now if they wish. Okay, Laura. I can tell you that I have I was able to get a pretty clear view of your type around halfway through, and it stayed consistently from there.
Okay.
And I'll be able to explain a few things regarding you mentioned some confusion in Personality Cafe, how you're caught between feeling and thinking in the MBTI system. And
well, in the socionic system.
In the socionic, oh, okay.
But I have been confused in the past, also in the MBTI system.
Okay.
I think I'm an INTP and MBTI now. I'm pretty sure about that. But there was a time there where I'm like, well, am I INTP or INFP? And then for a while, I thought I might be a J, because in some ways I'm more like a J than a P. Because I'm reliable, and I actually get things done, and I'm organized, and I'm not messy, and all those stereotypes. But I think with cognitive functions, I think it doesn't quite work to be an INTJ or an INFJ. It doesn't work cognitive function wise, I don't think.
Well, in socionics, you get to have your cake and eat it. Because okay, my belief from watching this video, watching this interview, is that you'd be what's known as an LII, or socionics INT small j.
Okay.
Now, and also leading with introverted thinking, introverted logic.
So you mean I'm not a sensory ethical extrovert?
No, definitely not. In fact, the way you're describing your insecure point, the way you describe your insecure point about applying for jobs, and the way you describe the person they seem to expect from you, it sounded very much like a sensory ethical extrovert. That person who promotes themselves, is quite aggressive, competitive in getting the job, has happened to look good in the moment, etc. And that sort of pressure on you, it was very much also a sense of they place the expectation of the opposite of how you actually are and who you identify with as the person they expect you to be, and that's why it seemed rather difficult for you. Now, I could definitely see that you fit alpha researcher very, very well in terms of what the things you enjoy and are around an intellectual sphere, a logical, structural, systemized sphere. You also enjoy the quirky, interesting, slightly eccentric humor that you find in your video game group. Your environment, you like one where you need to be accepted, where things are comfortable and nice, no conflict, no battle of wills against between individuals. It's far more about everyone just having a good time together. Also, your main fears are of scrutiny, of force, of almost a forced scrutiny. People are just going to form negative, harsh judgments against you, and you're trying to avoid that very much. It very much fits the idea of the alpha researcher. The reason why I say a researcher rather than socialite is that your area of strength specifically are in the abstract logical area. You see multiple different perspectives, different areas looking at things, which shows a certain amount of extrovert intuition. And however, in your leading function would be introverted logic that approaches structured systems. The way people describe you as being having integrity, honesty, and also insight, which shows the main focus is on the introverted logic, on that sort of what is fair, what was equal, what is correct, what's incorrect, what's consistent, and also that insight allows you to essentially you have this your other strong information element would be introverted intuition, but it wouldn't necessarily be valued. But it does cause you to spend a lot of time in your head, a lot of time thinking, imagining, thinking about where things are going over the long run. And as a result, you would be far less good at the opposite extrovert sensation. So far less able to act in the here and now, do things here and now, notice what's immediately going on around you and doing things about it. So you may come across as indecisive, you may come across as less confident, because specifically you're confident in areas which are of an abstract logical nature. You're less confident acting now to get things done now. And also the expectation to act now, think fast, is going to be quite stressful for you.
Yep, that's true.
Instead, what you seem to prefer is an environment where someone else proactively includes you, who makes you part of his group, with good positive feeling, which shows a good suggestive function for extroverted ethics. And generally, you're right. You said you're a bit too organized and structured to feel quite right with the perceiving in MBTI, which I find is often a problem. People who are logical or thinking, but also perceiving. Also difficult people who are feeling and also judging the MBTI system. But so it kind of makes sense because we approach judging differently. And if you're logical, then it's more about structure and organization. If you're more ethical and judging, it's more about forming attitudes of how people should be, what is good, what is bad, etc. So I'd say you definitely fit the LII very well in the sociological system, and very much alpha researcher, and very much in that sort of introversion. Basically, it all seems to add up rather well, in my opinion. So yes, that's my analysis. Do you have any questions?
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. Did you have any questions at all?
Yeah. I guess lately I'm kind of been confused between LII and EII, and I know that like some people were suggesting EII because I don't know, like
Okay.
I showed feelings more, and I think I do have a strong sense of like ethics, like you know, like what is right and what was wrong, like how people should interact with each other, and I read about all these alpha researchers, like they're I could care less about morality and you know, and I do care about that. So, and is it normal for, like, can you be a logical type, and then, because I just feel like I'm so emotionally intense all the time. I don't always show it, but I think in some ways I am, you know, I am very emotional, and I'm always worried about what other people think, and you go online to Personality Cafe, and it's like you read about all these NTs. Well, I don't really care what other people think of me, and you know, and I'm not like that. So.
Okay. One main thing is that people who are INTJ in MBTI are often very rarely INTJ in the sociological system, the LII. In fact, more LIIs are more often INTP and INFP. They're far more common to be those ones. The INTJ and MBTI is far too aggressive, far too decisive, far too uber competent in everything they do, which actually makes me, and they often correlate better with LSI
Mm-hmm.
and LIE, and
Yeah.
something with an SLE, so which is quite a difference. And now you mentioned that you worry about how people are thinking about you, whether you're being accepted into the group. With an EII, by leading with introverted ethics, it's more about how they feel, acting the way it's in accordance with their personal ideologies, their sense of good, their sense of bad, however they feel towards people, and also forming attitudes towards people. If that's a good person, that's a bad person.
Mm-hmm.
That's someone who is doing a good thing. With
Right.
LII, they will be
Which I do
aware of
see
this.
which I do see myself doing sometimes.
Mm. And LII
Not.
will be able to tap into introverted ethics because it's what's known as a role function. They can use it when it needs to. They can switch it on. They can use
Mm-hmm.
it, but they're not going to be relying on it as much as their introverted logic. They can use it properly because there's not.
Um,
It's technically weak, but it's not weak. It's applicable. It's usable. You can use it to an adequate level, and usually you use it to a way that's normative. You won't cover any original ground in this area, but you'll do it to an adequate level. Your original ground will come with the introverted logic, coming up with structures and systems. That's where your natural gifts are. Now, so if you're an ILE, on the other hand, where introverted ethics become very weak, you'll be far more out of touch with it. So I'm more out of touch with this idea of forming ideas, what's good and what's bad, in my personal opinion. I just tend to go with what people tend to say is good or bad. But you'll find with an ally, they will have these opinions. They will be able to form these opinions, but they won't necessarily be near as original as their logic, as their ability to use structure and systems. So yeah, that
okay.
now, and an EII in general, they often thought to be the lookalike. They're called the lookalike of the LII. They'll have a similar manner around them because they'll have similar that hypersensitivity towards physical and physical stress and emotional play. So they'll yes, they're often the sort of people who doesn't like anything getting too intense, will not be able to handle conflict because they don't have that sort of ability to force themselves in the here and now against others. They just can't do it. Both EII and LI have the same weak point, so they'll come across as being rather similar, but their main goals in life will be quite different. EII is far more about reflecting over their feelings for its own sake. That's the main thing, how they feel about things. The LI is more about what is consistent, what is fair, what is more just rather than what I personally feel is good or bad. If you see what I mean, one's far more subjective, one's
Yeah.
far more objective than approaching. But
Mm-hmm.
both of them will be able to use each other's leading functions rather well because it's known as a role function. So an EII also is far more logical, I'd say, than an IEE.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, that'll be my explanation for that. And also in general, when you say that you need that sort of harmony. You feel that in terms of emotions. And now emotion itself, every single type will have emotions. Every type will,
Yeah.
apart from unless they have something, some other disorder may stop them having emotions. It's a question of how you can control and manipulate those emotions that tell you whether you're ethical or logical. So an SCE, for instance, you may have just as much emotion as an LII. The LII will be a bit awkward in terms of actually manifesting his emotions to others. The SE will be able to channel them in a very purposeful way to get people to do what they want.
Yeah. And
EIE, SE, all the rest.
yeah, sometimes I'm like scared of my own emotions.
Mm.
Like sometimes I'll overreact to nothing. Like one time I was playing a video game and I got really frustrated because I could not get to the next stage and I kept trying and trying and I kept dying and I literally threw the controller like across the room and I broke it. And I
Mm.
mean
There's nothing
and
LAIs,
I
they don't really know how to handle their emotions and also how to well, it's not how to handle how to convey it to others in a way that's palatable to others as well. They may be a bit more awkward about how they convey it. Also, in terms of their aggression, frustration, that more primal part of them, they don't really know how to control properly. So LAIs, often you can say they're incredibly gentle, incredibly it can often be seen as unassertive until suddenly they may have sudden flash of anger. They may just do something, not be quite. I said, did I just do that? How did I? I don't know.
yeah.
I completely
So
forgot
so
myself.
like me throwing the controller across
Yeah.
the room. Because yeah, well, like I relate to like inferior extroverted feeling in the MBTI, and I have like these. FE moments, inferior FE moments is what I call them. When I just do something like that's totally uncharacteristic.
Yes. So people will, in general, they'll, because everyone has all 8 information elements in socionics, but they'll have differing abilities to control different kinds of different
Yeah,
abilities to
I
manipulate and
think that's what I like
metabolize.
better about socionics and MBTI, because it seems like MBTI, you have these 4 functions, and it
Yeah.
seems like they just ignore the other 4. Well, what about the
Yeah.
other 4?
And if you go into Bee's model, it just gets a bit
Socionics,
vague.
like each of the 8, has its own role, and it's explained into depth. It's
Indeed. Now, right, I think that. Okay, so it's now it's 9:11 now for me.
okay.
Okay, but I need to go attend to a few things around the house. But it was really
Okay.
really nice talking to you. And
Yep. You too.
if you have any further questions, you can always contact me by email.
Okay. Thank you.
So that is thank you very much, and have a nice day.
Yep. You too.
Bye bye.
Bye.